Hey dosto, Anson Andrews is in the house and I hope you are all staying awesome. I am super happy to be here and welcome you all to yet another episode of HiStories. Sachi baatein, zero bakwas.
Sachi baatein, zero bakwas.
Are you thinking of giving up? Giving fake smiles so that others don't find out how you really feel inside? Are you feeling helpless, wanting desperately to scream and whispering to yourself, I can't take this anymore. I just can't. Well, hold it right there, dear friend. Before you take another step and feel like you have no help, before you feel like this suffering will never end, allow me to take you to the time when a woman named Hannah lived. Hannah was a pious and pure-hearted woman who lived at a time when people considered it disgraceful to not have a child. She was married to Elkanah, a Levite who also had another wife named Penina. Now Penina was always rude towards Hannah and missed no opportunity to provoke and irritate Hannah as she didn't have any children. Every year Elkanah and his wives went to Shiloh as pilgrims to offer sacrifice. Those days of pilgrimage were most difficult for Hannah due to the cruel and harsh provocations of Penina. You are worthless, barren, childless Hannah, said Penina. A day after their pilgrimage to Shiloh, Hannah, who was visibly depressed, thinking about her barren nature, went to the temple and cried out to the Lord, speaking of all her anxieties and pain in prayer. While she was praying intensely, Eli, the temple priest, misunderstood her and thought Hannah was drunk. Furious, he shouted at her and told her to be quiet. Quietly looking up with tears in her eyes, Hannah replied to Eli, My Lord, I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have neither had wine or any strong drink. All I have been doing is pouring out my soul before my God. Eli, at once hearing her pain, felt deep compassion and said to her, Go in peace. May the God of Israel grant the petition you have made to him. The Almighty did indeed hear her prayer, and in due time, Hannah conceived and bore a son, whom she named Samuel. And I hope many of us have read of the greatness of Samuel in the Bible, who became the most prominent judge in the history of Israel. Now here's something we can all learn from Hannah. When she was depressed, she didn't seek shortcuts and worldly pleasure. She didn't abuse or fight with Penina when suffering through those constant provocations and insults. And neither did she blame God. In her lowest moments of hurt and suffering, she turned her eyes to the Almighty and submitted every burden to the Lord in prayer. So here's my takeaway from Hannah. When you are sad and depressed, don't look elsewhere. Let us learn to look into the eyes of our Lord. Let us learn to share our pain with Him and allow Him to write a beautiful story for us. Do you feel better now? Well, allow me to share one more story and take you through the life of a saint who underwent great suffering, but without looking elsewhere offered her suffering completely to the Lord And any guesses what happened? Yes, the Lord wrote a wonderful climax to her story. St.Bakitha was born to a very respected and prosperous family. However, at the tender age of 8, she was captured by Arab slave traders. Bakhita was not the name she received from her parents at birth. It is said that the trauma of her abduction caused her to forget her own name. The early path of Bakhita's life was not fortunate at all. She was tortured by many of her owners, branded like an animal, beaten, and her flesh was cut many times. In her biography, she recalled one particular incident where her master cut her 114 times, pouring salt on the wounds to ensure that they scar her for life. Her life as a slave was absolutely terrible. Here is what the sister said in an interview. During all the years I stayed as a slave, I do not recall a single day that passed without some wound or the other. When one wound began to heal, other blows would pour down on me. Although she did not know Christ or Christianity, Bakhita suffered valiantly. She said that even then, she marveled at the world and the being who created it. Seeing the sun, the moon, the stars, I said to myself, who could be the master of these beautiful things? And I felt a great desire to see him, to know him, and to pay him homage. Bakhita was sold 5 times before she was purchased in the capital of Sudan by Callisto Legnani, the Italian consul and a practicing Catholic. And from there on, her life changed forever. Once a young student asked Sister Bakhita, "Sister, what would you do if you were to meet your captors?" To the young student's surprise and awe, Sister responded, "If I were to meet those who kidnapped me, and even those who tortured me, I would kneel and kiss their hands. For if these things had not happened to me, I would not have been a Christian and a religious today." Friends, remember, all sufferings and pains are a call towards the heart of Christ. Christ never abandons anyone in the midst of suffering. And I can say this confidently, He will not abandon you. The Lord is always near the brokenhearted, and He is eagerly waiting to undertake your sorrows. As it is written in the book of Job 5:18, "For He wounds, but He binds up. He strikes, but His hands heal." So, I hope you all had a beautiful time and took something away from today's episode. If you truly enjoyed it, please do share it with your friends and family. This is Anson Andrews signing off, and stay tuned for the next episode of HiStories, Sachi baatein, zero bakwas.